This is the Not Bitter, Just Better podcast.
The Everton our way.
Straight from the street end.
Howdy Blues, welcome to the Not Bitter, Just Better Everton podcast. Mr. Johnny 7 here as always. I say here as always, this is going to be the last show for a week or two now, isn't it? Because there's stupid international breaks. So recording Monday the 17th of March. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone really. Oh God, I live in town, work the other end of town, and coming through it was chaos, and I think, never mind St. Paddy's Day, I think people were having the first ever drink in their lives by the looks of things. A sea of green in the city centre. Coming from top end of town by the bombed out church, that was chaos. And then I thought, it can't get worse than that. All the way down Bold Street, it was like just a din, like when you go to swimming baths and there's that overwhelming noise. Don't know how accurate that was. And then walking past Slater Street, chocker, and then place I could not, I don't know, I couldn't imagine anything worse than being at Concert Square, Connie Square. I mean, rather them than me. I think maybe my race has run with regards to celebrating St. Patrick's Day through the week, because I'm old. And it looks like lots of fun was being had. So yeah, I messaged my other half and just said about they would all behaving like me on a Saturday night, and yeah, she agreed. Yeah. So yeah, Saturday, coming off the back of the West Ham game, the visit of West Ham on Saturday. So that's where I'm going to do the majority of today's podcast, and then I'll go into a little bit of Everton news, and then talk about the international breaks and the international duty that the players are going to be embarking on. So yeah, just yes, as I say, Monday recording. No preview to look forward to any midweek game or anything, but there's one coming up soon, which I'm not looking forward to be honest. Yeah, so Saturday saw the visit of West Ham to Goodison Park, and the games are just they're just going by so quick, and that last game against Southampton is going to be in no time, or is it going to be the last game? It's going to be the last league game, but there's been talk again of them potentially having the women's games there. You know, it's I think it's highly likely now, isn't it? But are there going to be any seats left? Who knows? So randomly stop recording then. Sorry. So the visit of West Ham. The David Moyes derby, as I've seen it coined in a few places now. Goodison Park, Everton versus West Ham. And Everton starting 11. A little bit of a surprise, although I did mention this was a possibility on the podcast and just maybe got it wrong on the way they actually did line up. Pickford in goal, obviously. O'Brien, Tarkowski, Brandwaite and Mikalenko. Then changes in midfield. Garner in the centre. And then Decore kept his place, Harrison kept his place, and Alcaraz came in for Lindstrom. But rather than coming in on the right for Lindstrom, seemed to come in on the left, and Harrison switched wings, which not too sure about that. And then Beto up top on his Billy Todd. And West Ham, Areola, Todibo, Mavropanos, Kilman, Wan-Bissaka, Ward-Prowse, Souček, Paqueta, and Emerson, and up front, Bowen and Kudos. So there was talk about Paqueta starting in midfield again, Alvarez and making way, and he's on facing these gambling charges, isn't he? So yeah, and it was hazy first half. The things that stood out the most was a couple of good saves from Pickford. First of all, after almost an own goal by Brandwaite. First of all, thought it came in off one of the West Ham lads, but no, it seemed to go off the back of Brandwaite's head, and Pickford reacted well. um, to make the save, and another one, a bit of a bouncing ball where Bowen had far too much time, got it under control, and like a dipping volley, which Pickford clawed away from under the crossbar athletically. So yeah, the two key moments for them, and we didn't have a whole lot of it. I think I'd gone down to for the halftime pint duty, which it seems I am the one who does the running for that all the time, even though it takes me longest to get served. And yeah, we saw there was a penalty given, and as is custom now, VAR took forever to have a look and ultimately determined that the referee had got it wrong on the pitch. And I've got to say, it was light and day between that one and the one against Man U a few weeks back. You could see Beto kicked the ground and wasn't really caught. And I don't know how he was actually given, to be honest, in the first place. So no real gripes about the decision as such. But why is that taking so long? It took a good few minutes to sort that out. Uh, what angles were they looking at? I'm assuming maybe they've had to look at every angle now with being under scrutiny. But it definitely shouldn't have taken that long. And the Blues are denied a penalty once again, and go in at half time at 0-0. And it wasn't the most enlightening game. It was. I think the concern here was would both sides kind of cancel each other out with. Um, both being worried about getting beat, and I think that ultimately played into it. West Ham did eventually take the lead. Bloody fella, I said, always does well against us. Who we're being linked with. Souček curls one home from Bowen's clever pass inside. Good finish actually around the defender into the bottom corner. Uh, when he showed it on Match of the Day, didn't see this at the game, but when he showed it on Match of the Day, they started the replay from quite deep, and it was quite dodgy because we potentially could have had a couple of free kicks in that build up there. Obviously. They weren't given it, and it kind of dragged on another 30 odd seconds. We were waiting to look into making some subs, and whilst they were waiting to come on, the goal went in, and but it was interesting. The Match of the Day did pick when they started it to show the results from, to show the replay from, because I haven't heard any shouts for it, but it just did look like it could have been a free kick earlier on in the build up, but it is what it is. Yeah, so Souček puts West Ham 1-0 up, and then we make a couple of changes. Where are we? Lindstrom comes on for Decore. Then 10 minutes or so later, Erabunum comes on for Garner, James Garner, and Chimiti makes his long-awaited return for Everton for Harrison. And then a minute or so later, Broja makes his return for Everton as well in place of Beto, and it gave us a little bit more about us there going forwards. And there was a little bit of a reshuffle, and we were pecking a little bit, but it ultimately looked like it wasn't going to happen until I think it was Chimiti who had a decent effort from quite a narrow angle. It was blocked by the keeper, comes out, and then is played across to Alcaraz, who picks out a great ball to the far post. So he's over on the left hand side of the penalty box. He plays a ball to Garner Gay, who's come from very deep on the other side of the penalty box and managed to hook a great crossover into the centre. About 91st minute it was, and then O'Brien, who'd just been putting himself about a little bit up top, managed to get his head to it for the second goal for Everton. And yeah, I think it was a fair equaliser, a fair result overall, really, and we could have won it when Alcaraz I'm sure he kind of nicked the ball and went through a little bit, but he scuffed his finish and it just went like a few inches wide, but wasn't it wasn't the most convincing of efforts, to be honest. But I think overall it was a fair enough result. It's just those draws are building up again now. So I think, staying above West Ham, not losing any ground, putting more distance in between us and the bottom three. You've got to take it again. 9 undefeated now, but it would be nice to be start turning some of those draws back into wins. But how we, I don't know how times change, isn't it? It's just nuts. So, player of the match, Jake O'Brien. Uh, his attacking threat. Oh yeah, he had one from distance in the first half as well. Struck it really sweetly, but right down the goalie's throat. Um, so he's putting himself about. He came in with a little bit about him going forward. A few goals last season, and now he's starting to reap the rewards for Everton as well. Stats: 53.9% possession. See, we don't do well when we have more possession versus 46.1 for West Ham. Shots 13 to 10. On target 5 each. Corners 6 for Everton, 5 for West Ham. Fouls 12 for the Blues, 8 for West Ham. Yellow cards 1 for us and 2 for them. And where are we? The XG 0.92 for Everton, 0.58 for West Ham. Post-match reaction. Moyes praised the team's resilience and character to earn a point. Highlighted Jake O'Brien's significant improvement and impact from right back. He said he's a centre back playing out of position, and he's really learning well. And Potter admitted disappointment, but credited Everton's atmosphere influencing the late momentum shift. And a lot of the West Ham people have come out and said about the atmosphere at Goodison and paid tribute to the ground, to the old lady. Yeah, and as I say, those precious few games are just ticking away now, aren't they? At Goodison, and sad times. Obviously, we've got to move towards bigger and better, more ambition, and a better turnover, and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it's 30 something years of my life been going there, and every time it's just going to be a little bit sadder. Uh, yeah. Anyway, don't want to put a downer on things. The game itself, yeah. After the match, back to Segura, and I had a few. I think I did. I mentioned on the podcast on Friday about getting a text, and we staying for a few. And God, it got messy. I was going out to a night in town. I was meeting me, my other half, and she was messaging me, but apparently I just completely forgot how to communicate in every aspect. And ended up being a menace apparently. Like all the St. Patrick's Day punters today. I think I was doing that early on Saturday night. Yeah, so it was good to be back. It's gonna be a good few weeks now before we get back there. We've got the second test event on Sunday, so hopefully gonna either go to that or just go to Segura for that, and I'll come on to that in the Everton news in a little bit. But what all, Everton 9 games undefeated under Moisey in the league, and we just keep on ticking on now, don't we? Hopefully, as I say, start turning some of those draws into wins. But the worry now is that run of games in April is looking very tough. So that would have been a good place to pick up 3 points ahead of that. But on we go. So yeah, leave that there, and I'll be back in a sec with the Everton news of the week.
News.
So going to go on to the Everton news of the week, and say, do you know, just before I go on to that, these next couple of weeks, I'm going to have a little bit of a rejig, I think, of how I do things. I am going to try and get some other people, so it's not just me. Doing the one person to the camera kind of thing isn't easy. It was obviously the dynamic with two or more. Sometimes more than two can be a little bit chaotic with people talking over each other. And as I said, when me and Mark used to do it in person, it was a lot easier. Then we had to start doing it via uh, Zoom, I think, or Zoom or Skype, and that got a little bit trickier. And it's it's well tricky doing it on your own. So um, I'll have a little rethink about what we're going to do there. I do invite people to yeah, send me voice clips, send me video clips, and yeah, just get your thoughts on there. I'll drop them in. Um, as long as it's not calling me a wall or a fruit, like I ain't gonna put those on. I will talk about though because it's funny. Um, so the first ever news of the week. I haven't put this in my notes, so I'm going to talk about it anyway. It's come out the test event on Sunday, just to make sure we meet the safety requirements. There's going to be an evacuation before the 90th minute, so they're going to end the game early. Do you know what? I can't 100% say who it is that we're playing. It's ringing a bell. Wigan under 23s or Wigan B. Um, am I just going mad and not seeing that anywhere? Yeah. Well, I'm assuming it was Wigan. It was Wigan under 18s for the last one. I'm going. Yeah, I'm becoming senile in my old age. But anyway, regardless, there's going to be that evacuation, so that we can show that we comply with the safety requirements. It's probably going to be around the 80th minute, and there won't be a return to the grounds. It'll be an evacuation, and the game will just be over. So yeah, so I imagine everything will be will go swimmingly with regards to that. I can't imagine that they will even have events on if they haven't already done some kind of dry run without. And this is going to be the more of a challenging dry run with 25,000 people in there. Um, yeah, so um, yeah, so I mentioned on the last podcast, Paul's doing a trip to there to see. This will be interesting to see because this is going to be a real transition, isn't it? From all the people going drinking on County Road before the game, um, I imagine a lot of them aren't going to be looking forward to losing that business. So there's going to be a few opportunities to putting coaches on from County Road down there for Premier League games, I imagine, and people want to be sticking to the routine at least for the first season, whilst they find new boozers and all that kind of stuff. And I imagine a lot of landlords are going to be already like tied into contracts for another year or two. They've got the different types of ownership where a lot of the pubs down there are brewers owned, so they will be and they just run through the week. But there are like venues down there that are specifically match day, so that's going to be an interesting dilemma for what they're going to do. Are they just going to fold? Or I know a few places like the Hot Walk and that have already got a new establishment down there, so that'll be interesting to see what they do. Whether they just close the old place straight away, or whether there is going to be a little half and half kind of thing. So all this is going to be yeah, it's, as I say, interesting to see. I've used interesting a lot. It's like, yeah, anyway. um, not very articulate, really. Uh, so, yeah, the Sunday event, 2 o'clock kickoff, and I imagine it'll be about 80 minutes, and then hopefully I'll get to go and see somewhere else in the grounds rather than the south stands. As I said before numerous times now, I want to experience every part of that ground, and that might be one of the early opportunities to do that. And then there'll be the third test event, and then I imagine there'll be a friendly or two over the summer, either side of the US tour. So yeah, that'll be fun. Is Coleman due a testimonial? I want to see him in the league though. Yeah. Anyway, has he had one again? I'm going mad. I can't recall these things. In other Everton news, Harrison Armstrong scored his first full professional goal for Derby at the weekend. Nice take as well. Good bit of control. And then a volley into the far corner, and he's getting a lot of praise from Derby, saying that we've got a real star on our hands there, and really appreciating the job that he's doing. Got man of the match in the game before as well, so positive. It looks like it's going to be a positive spell for him, and then he should hopefully be able to push on and stake a claim for the first team place next season. Might end up being a little bit too early for him. Maybe another loan spell, or just get his minutes up from the bench and then build on the year after. But all looks like it's going well for Harrison Armstrong, so that's good. That's why they do these moves, isn't it? And they either sink or swim, and then they go and then they find a level, or they take that experience and bring it back, and hopefully it'll be the latter. There's a bit of news about this Burnley legal case and pressing ahead with legal case against Everton concerning the PSR rules. So they're suing us because the Premier League docked us points in the season after. Um, I can't get my head around this at all. But the precedent it's setting isn't a good one, and if they do end up getting anything from it, it's going to be financial, isn't it? They can't dock us more points. But how far will this go? City are still facing their 115 charges. I don't. It absolutely reeks, and unfortunately, Everton have been stung in this kind of way before when other clubs have broke the rules and got away with it, and Everton and Forest were the only ones to be really punished for it. So yeah, absolutely stinks. Everton seem to be the scapegoat on these things, and the whole conspiracy and the tin hat again. Just because I said this in work today, actually, it's from a Nirvana song. Actually, just because you're paranoid, don't mean they're not after you, and it does seem to be like that an awful lot. And I don't want to go down that tin hat brigade route again, but it's a load of my ass. That's what I'll say about it. Transfer rumours. What was his name? I think it was Jack Knight. That sounds like a character from 24 or something. Jack Bauer, no, but it does sound like someone out of something like that. I hope I've got that name right. 15 goal involvement or goals from Bristol. Again, I could look at all this stuff and make actual notes, but I'm relying on my fuzzy brain to remember it all. And ultimately, it's not the best. I shouldn't really be talking about it, really, should I? But I think having a doddering, waffling podcast host hopefully is a little bit endearing. Um, but it does look like we're starting to identify a few more players. There's more shuffles going on up the top at the club and at the top of the club in the hierarchy, and it looks like we're starting to put things in place. Hopefully, we'll get a better scouting system, and hopefully, we'll get a better set piece coach because they're not best at the moment, are they? And Charlie Adam doesn't seem to be working out at all. But our main set piece guy is still not there. So we could do with having him back quite soon. And news on that, Ndiaye, Dwight McNeil, and Calvert-Lewin look to be approaching full fitness, and he should be back maybe for the derby, if not at least that tricky spell in April. Um, the majority of it. So just, I mean, it was great to see Chimiti back, and he looked sharp on Saturday. And Bro, yeah, looked like he could put himself about a little bit more again. So having those options, pushing Beto now, great to see. And then obviously the Alcaraz Decore dilemma, which you're throwing Lindstrom and Harrison back into that, and then Idabunum coming in as well. These are all great dilemmas to have. Then potentially it was strange not seeing Ashley Young come on, but Coleman and Patterson sniffing around as well. All of this can only be good for the first team, and the players who are normally knackered around the 65, 70 minute mark are going to be able to get a break, and fresh legs coming on, and fresh legs who can do damage, as we saw Chimiti, who had that snapshot shot, which led to the goal in the end. So yeah, great to see, and we need legs. We need legs on the pitch. So yeah. Okay, so that's the Everton news of the week. I'm going to be back in a sec, and I'll talk about the international break and the call-ups. I hate these, and it's hard to be invested in internationals as a blue because we've just been stitched up for so many years. When we do get players called up to the England squad. It doesn't work well. It's either they either get injured or they get tapped up to join other clubs. Um, but anyway, I'll talk about that in a sec. Here are our socials.
This is the Not Bitter, Just Better Everton podcast. If you haven't already, go and like us on Facebook, facebook.com/EFC Not Bitter, Just Better, or you can find us on Twitter @JustBetterEFC.
Yeah, so there you have them. Go and give us a like, follow, subscribe, whatever, for whatever platform. I do try and mix things up on there, and it's tricky. Again, I've mentioned this before with the algorithms. I don't want to bore people's heads off with it, but the main content that tends to do well is a lot of just like general club reshares and that kind of stuff, and that tends to hit more of an audience as well. So the likes of me sharing the podcast, that kind of stuff, they do try and force you down a route of paying to boost your posts and stuff like that. But then if you boost your posts, there's no guarantee it's going to go out and reach Blues. So you kind of, it's a bit of a catch-22 there. So I do try and mix it up with. I've been trying to do little bits of artwork and stuff like that, but yeah, it's tricky. It is tricky trying to get a read on stuff. So I'll keep trying, and then I am building towards stuff now, and I am going to keep building towards stuff with new ground, and then hopefully a nice little podcast base rather than just recording on the green screen here, having a proper studio set up. I can't even get a light on here to get the bloody green screen removed properly. So I'm going to look into all that, as I say, in this 2 week break now. So yeah, I don't know, waffle. The international breakdown. So under 19s, you've got George Morgan and Aled Thomas, and the under 19s. So Wales under 19s versus England under 19s in the UEFA Championship under 19s qualifier. And Thursday, Fraser Barnsley and Northern Ireland under 21s. Luke Gardner, Wales under 18s versus Poland under 18s in a friendly. And then Sierra Leone versus Guinea-Bissau for Beto in the World Cup qualifier. Harrison Armstrong in the England under 18s versus Czech Republic. Jesper Lindstrom, Denmark versus Portugal in a league UEFA Nations League quarter-final first leg. Mikalenko, Ukraine versus Belgium. So that'll be a tricky one in the playoff first leg. And then Jake O'Brien, Republic of Ireland versus Bulgaria. And then we move on to Friday. Pickford will potentially face off against Broja in a World Cup qualifier. Branthwaite, who outrageously did not make the England squad, Tuchel's first proper one, I believe, and that's caused a lot of fallout. Well, just people bitching and moaning about it. I mean, the talk was Branthwaite and Tarkowski not being called up. As much as it's great to see for them, as I said before, when we have had players go to international duty, getting injured or just being criminally underused, and it leaves a sour taste. So maybe now is not the best time for Branthwaite to be going on full international duty. I think I'm okay with that. It's still a ridiculous oversight, but I can take it. So anyway, friendly against France under 21s, and then moving on to Saturday, Harrison Armstrong again, England under 18s versus France. George Morgan, Aled Thomas, Wales under 19s versus Portugal, the qualifier. Ghana Gay is likely to line up for Senegal against Sudan, a World Cup qualifier on Saturday evening, 7. I'll go through the senior players now. Lindstrom is likely to feature for Denmark against Portugal on Sunday evening, 7:45. Mikalenko again, Ukraine v Belgium again. Jake O'Brien, Republic of Ireland versus Bulgaria again. So hopefully they all come back unscathed, and we don't want anything daft. We want players back now. Beto, Guinea-Bissau versus Burkina Faso. 4 p.m. kickoff. England v Latvia for Jordan, and Broja versus Andorra, and then Brandthwaite again. England v Portugal under 21s. Then finally, we've got Harrison Armstrong likely to feature again against Portugal under 18s again in a friendly 11 a.m. kickoff on Tuesday. Interesting. So it's going to be enough footy to keep us going, but as I say, international break. Just we thought the last little break that when we had the warm weather training would serve us well to get some legs back, but it kind of halted the momentum a little bit, and the players didn't look any fresher for it, unfortunately. So not overly keen to see this international window come in. I kind of just want it. I want it all now. I want to just carry on with the season, but it is what it is. Do you know what? Actually, we've got the derby coming up. I haven't even mentioned once about the Carabao Cup final. And do you know why? Because I'm not a fan of Newcastle at all. I think, in one sense, it's nice to see the monopoly being broken a little bit, and Newcastle, a club who haven't won anything for a long time, it just shows that it can be done. But Newcastle, Eddie Howe, blue, give them that. But they've just been an horrible club over the years, and yeah, obviously they were the lesser of two evils yesterday. I didn't put the match on itself. I just can't watch them. They're just the shite of me, not Newcastle. They're just yeah, horrible. Yeah, I didn't put it on until the last 15 minutes when I knew Newcastle were 2-0 up, and then Chiesa scored, and I thought, here we go. But Newcastle held on, so I'm not going to celebrate it, but I'm going to celebrate them losing. Yeah, ooh, I might have to put it there. No, I think you're allowed one F-bomb. So before you do parental guidance, yeah. So yeah, but so we've got them coming up. I'll be doing a preview on that game. If anything does come about, I probably will do. I'll get a video done from. Well, I'll load the videos again from Sunday's game and try and get it from different angles. I might do a reflection on that. We'll see on Monday how it goes, but there's not a whole lot of to talk about. Could potentially do a recap of that and internationals. Well, we'll see. If not, I will catch you soon enough anyway. And enjoy the break from the Blues. I won't. And I'll catch you soon. Come on, you Blues!